looking at?
Trek Geeks is proud to have Fansets as our presenting sponsor. Stay tuned for release information and a special discount code good on your next order at fansets.com. Fansets. Our pins have character.
Hi, this is Nana Visitor, Major Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine, and you are listening to the biggest little show this side of the Gamma Quadrant, the Trek Geeks podcast with Bill Smith and Dan Davidson.
From the party planning committee meeting room at Podfleet Command, it is the biggest little show this side of the Alpha Quadrant, the flagship of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. For the 300th time, this is the Trek Geeks Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bill Smith. Welcome, one and all. We are thoroughly excited you're here. Buddy, I don't have an insult for you this week. I have nothing but love.
That's
For the 300th time, welcome, Dan Davidson.
Thanks, buddy. It is so great to be here back in this chair recording. And it's one thing to be back in the chair recording after we've had a break that we've been on for the last several months. But it means even more that it's for this 300th episode of the Trek Geeks podcast. It's unbelievable. I still can. Here's a little bit of trivia that came up in my memories today.
Yeah.
It was 6 years ago today that we released our 100th episode. How about that?
Which also means 6 years ago today that we debuted our Trek Geeks Delta.
There you go.
Which has been the symbol of this podcast ever since episode 100. So 6 years. We're both wearing it right now. It's on your wall behind you.
Yep.
It's on the wall in front of me. It's become the representation of our network.
Amazing.
And it's a heck of a time to be a Trek Geek, Dan.
It really is. And who would have thought years and years ago, the famous story that we tell when you said, hey, I'm thinking about doing a Star Trek podcast. You interested in doing it with me? And I'm like, no. What's a podcast? And here we are recording 300, buddy. Congratulations. It was your idea. It has been such a great time. And I look forward to everything we got coming down the road after this one.
It's amazing because we started this journey. We were men in our 40s.
That was a long time ago.
Early to mid 40s, and now we are approaching our mid 50s.
80s.
Yeah, it may as well be. The way I felt when I got out of bed this morning, my word. I had the idea 9 years ago.
Yeah. It took a year for you to talk me into it.
It really did, because you were a giant stick in the mud.
I'm just a dummy too. So
well, I was trying to be nice. It's 300.
No, it was me. Yeah, it's all me. I'm a dummy. I didn't say you were a dummy.
Oh, thanks, Tommy.
No, it really is a special thing here to be doing this with you for so long, Bill. And I mean it when I said a minute ago. It means so much to be back doing this now, and for it to be this landmark episode, it really means a lot to me. So I'm looking forward to a great discussion.
Well, we haven't been here the longest. We haven't put out more episodes than anybody.
Yeah,
we're not. We're number 2 to mission log. It's the joke that we always like to say. But, this podcast has always been Star Trek through the lens of our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we're only at episode 300 tells me that we got a hell of a long way to go, buddy. And it's going to be a great ride.
We really do. We have, how many hours is there of Star Trek? Over 800 episodes and movies and all that stuff. And we're only at episode 300. Oh, God.
The funny thing was when I was starting to talk you into this idea, you said, well, this would get pretty old pretty quick. I mean,
what are we going to talk about?
And at the time I said, dude, there are over 700 episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah.
If you did one episode for each one, including the movies, there's 700 episodes right there. And that's when I think the light dawned,
Yeah.
On Marblehead for you.
And we're not even halfway there yet. If we were looking at those numbers,
we haven't even done half of the episodes.
Yeah. Amazing.
I'd venture because we haven't even done a quarter of them.
I don't know math much, even though it's good. Math is good.
Yeah.
It's not hard, but it's hard for me.
But that was the point when I think you really started to evaluate the concept.
I did.
And say, yeah, maybe we really could do this.
Yeah. And the thing that I've always been extremely grateful to the listeners and to you for your tutelage in all of this and making it work. And we've had such a great time. As you said when we started this, when you finally talked to me, he goes, "No, Dan, just to let you know, a lot of podcasts don't make it past their 10th episode. If they're not popular, they're not going to keep going. And after 10, if you're doing more than 10, you're doing pretty good. Look where we are right now." And I can't help but be humbled by that because it's not us. I mean, people, we just sit here and talk. It's the people that listen and continue to want to listen to us. And it really is a humbling experience. And I'm just glad to be able to do it.
Well, people have asked me, why do I think that Trek Geeks has been around as long as it has? Because like I've said before, it's really just any two idiots talking about Star Trek.
Yeah.
But that's, I think it's because people feel like they're part of the conversation.
Yes.
They're a fly on the wall. And that's really, if you look at the podcasts that are the most successful, you feel drawn in like you're a part of it, like you're in the room. Like these conversations that you and I have are just like the ones we have at the bar at STLB, or, when we were commuting to work together in the car, or when we just get together and talk, online, not for the podcast. It really is kind of that insight into who we are and what our friendship is. So it could be other stuff. It could be the yucks. It could be your Farkisms, but really I think it's because people feel like they're part of it.
I absolutely agree with that. One of the things that, we always talk about, it's the, Star Trek through the lens of our friendship and what you get here with us with the yucks and the insults back and forth. And even though we're best friends, those insults are part of our everyday. That's what we do. That's our friendship. If you're listening to, and no offense to those who were part of it, but if you're listening to NPR people just talk on and on with no emotion about what's going on in their subject, it's not going to last. We have a great time. We have fun. And I think that we can bring in the audience, which we do a lot, to make it more fun. And that's why I think we have enjoyed it as long as we have and is for 300 episodes.
Well, that's why I do the NPR bit.
Exactly.
In the outtake.
Yeah.
The first time I did it was when you did Coconut for the first time, which I think is episode 15. So there have almost been 300 episodes of Coconut, Dan.
That's beautiful.
Not quite.
That's beautiful.
We still need to go back and figure out exactly when the Farkism started.
I have a spreadsheet that I keep, and I don't think I started it when I started Farkism. So I think the spreadsheet is late. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. But,
and by we, I mean you.
And they're all awesome. Don't let anybody fool you. They're all great.
No, they're not.
It's been a couple good ones.
They're terrible. Your face is terrible.
Hey, we even have a Farkism channel on Patreon now. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to put that out there. I didn't do it. I didn't create it.
It was suggested.
It was the people wanted it. So there you go.
Fark might have created it, actually.
Probably, yeah. I think he did, actually. Think about it.
I'll have to have a meeting with HR about that. Speaking of meetings,
yes.
Dan, it's time you and I did a little business with America.
Oh.
And talk about our friends at Fansets right after this. Dan, we've been doing it for years now, and we're going to keep doing it because we always want to take this moment to thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Yeah, we sure do, man. It's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to talk about Lou and John and the whole team over at Fansets. But just because we've been away doesn't mean that they have slowed down with their awesome line of Star Trek pins. No, not at all. They continue to release amazing new pins all the time. And here's just a few examples of the latest works of art that they have released. The Picard Finale Gold Delta is now available in magnetic and pin form. both versions of the Ensign TNG Delta. Yeah, that's right. There were two of them, which I did not actually realize until they were released by Fansets. They're both available in magnet and pin form. And the universe of Trek pins continue to impress with Christine Chappell from Strange New Worlds, as well as Captain Benjamin Sisko from, of course, Deep Space Nine. And anyone who knows me knows that I love the line of mini deltas, because you can put them on your tie or put them on your lapel or whatever. You can get the Bajoran mini pin, the Section 31 Delta mini pin, the Strange New Worlds Delta mini pin, and the Motion Picture Delta pin right now. The mini Delta pin. Don't forget that mini. It's very important. Right now, get them all at fansets.com, Bill.
I just want to draw one clarification. It's the acting ensign TNG Delta,
correct.
The one that Wesley wore.
Yes, Wesley's acting ensign. I did not put that in the typo in the copy, so of course I didn't say it because I only read what I write.
Because Wesley did wear two different versions of that comm badge. So
yes,
and I'm going to own both of them. I'm just throwing that out there. And Dan, you read off a whole bunch of pins. That is quite the list. But that's not all. Since we last recorded, Fansets has released a ton of new pins. So you know what I'm going to say, folks. Get on over to fansets.com, check out all the pins that Dan mentioned, plus all the other great new pins, and put them all in your cart. That's right. I said all. ALL, all. And at checkout, be sure to enter the special discount code Trek Geeks for 10% off your entire order. That's Trek Geeks in all capital letters with no spaces. And of course, don't forget, when you spend more than $30 on fansets.com, you'll automatically get free shipping in the United States.
I like that. All of them. I thought that was great.
ALL.
Yes, absolutely. Fansets. Our pins have character. And we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
So, as we get back to talking about being around for 300 episodes, because I think there's really nobody I like to talk about more than me.
That was unexpected and quite funny.
It's very Brent Spiner. She talks about how in Picard he gets to work with his favorite actor himself. I think the thing that has surprised me the most about this journey is that I thought it would be a hobby. And it really has become a part of my existence.
Yeah.
It's a part of our lives. Through it, we've created a charity effort with John Billingsley and the Hollywood Food Coalition. And in 2 telethons, we've raised around $200,000 for that amazing organization.
Yep.
We've tried to advocate the concept of Trektivism, and something that we will continue to do over time. I don't want to talk about legacy building in only 300 episodes, but I think that is probably the thing that stands out the most. And when I say that I used to think this was a hobby, that's because I gave up my other hobby to do this, which was golf. So I'm probably spending a lot less.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's far more rewarding and enriching.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about it before. We're able to give back. We sit here and record episodes and we have a great time, but then we're able to do things that we did with Jonathan Frakes first when we did Feeding America, and then with John Billingsley and all of his team and people over at Hollywood Food Coalition. We're able to give back to the community through what we do here, sitting behind these microphones talking Star Trek. And I think that's one of the most fulfilling and satisfying parts about doing Trek Geeks is over the course of 300 episodes. Yeah, it's great. We've had great conversations. We've been very excited to welcome Star Trek actors to the show, and it's really been fun to go to Hollywood for premieres and red carpet events, but then we're doing things that really mean something and giving back to the community and raising money for people that are less fortunate. And it's all under this Star Trek umbrella because it's the universe that we love so much. And I can't think of anything more gratifying than that aspect of what we do here on the show, man.
I think that part of it was always one of my goals, whether I stated it or not. Because I feel like it's important to do something with these microphones. Once we built an audience, I knew that it would be important for us to use them in a responsible way. What's the old Spider-Man line? With great power comes great responsibility. And not that we have great power, but our microphones have great power. people access their fandom through Star Trek podcasts and they enhance it through Star Trek podcasts. So it made sense to me that we should use these microphones to, maybe not insult each other all the time, but possibly to do good things for people who need it.
Exactly.
As people have asked me, what are my goals for the future with Trek Geeks? And I don't know how to answer it. Because I don't want to say we've done everything we've set out to do, because we haven't.
No, not at all.
But I don't know what the new goal is, because one, I'm having too much fun. And two, I think the goal that we've gotten to is pretty damn important.
It is very important. I think it's important that we don't have a goal, to be honest with you. Because if you have a goal and then you reach it, then what? So I look at it as we don't have a goal. We've always said we're going to do this until we don't like doing it anymore. And to be honest, when is that ever going to happen, buddy? I mean, it's Star Trek. It's us having a great time. It's us helping by doing the different money-raising events that we have done over time. And we've done stuff out in Vegas to raise money for animals. And we've done the stuff for Hollywood Food Coalition and Feeding America. And we were going to do a great one here in New Hampshire before the pandemic hit to raise money for dogs, for the
Granite State
Dog Recovery. So that's something that we're always going to do. We're always going to look for ways that we can give back to communities with the Star Trek logo, so to speak, and the Star Trek brand, because that's what we love so much, and it's what we enjoy doing. So I don't want to say we have a goal, but if we had to have one, I'll say we just keep doing this forever.
Is there anything... I'm going to put you on the spot, because I love to do that every now and then.
Okay.
Because you never see it coming. Is there anything we haven't done as part of the show that you would like to do in the near or distant future? Either one.
Putting me on the spot, I can't really think of one off the top of my head. Although if I had to be honest, we're going to be doing one thing that I've wanted to do, and that's do a live podcast. We've never done a live one. And we are going to be doing a live one this year. We thought about doing it when we just talked about the New Hampshire event in Concord that we were going to do a couple of years ago. We were going to do it then, but we're going to do one this year. It's going to be the first live, and it's like those shows that they used to do on NBC where they have live shows. Who knows what can go wrong? And chances are things are going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong, but it's going to be live. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be fun.
Well, we'll mention it now because the video will be out there by the time this goes out.
Yes.
As part of Fan Geeks Party 2023 in Las Vegas during the convention. So this will be Friday, August 4th at 8 p.m. Las Vegas time at Millennium Fandom Bar.
Yes.
You and I will actually be recording a live episode of Trek Geeks with special guests before a live audience.
A live audience full of people that are eating and drinking Star Trek food and drink and cheering us on or booing you. But it's still going to be great. And we already know, we can say it now because we talked about it in the video that's out there. We already have 2 guests lined up. We're going to have the wonderful John Billingsley and from Enterprise, and Bonnie Gordon from Star Trek Prodigy, who were the amazing hosts of Trek Talks 2. So they're going to be back again. And it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so, yeah, that is one thing that I've wanted to do, and we're doing it. We're doing it.
We're doing it. I never imagined we'd do it at a bar.
No. And that's probably a good thing, because I'll have a couple drinks in me by then, so I'll be relaxed.
Oh, that's the goal. I think as I initially envisioned it, back when we were going to do the charity fundraiser for Granite State Dog Recovery, it would be in a theater. Yeah. I still would really love to do a theater show.
I've got a great idea for a theater show with a certain Star Trek person that I gotta start working on and seeing if we can pull off, because I would like to do it here in New Hampshire, and I think it would be for a great cause. And more on that later.
I was still, even if that doesn't happen, I still would like to do a theater show.
Okay.
Because it's a different vibe.
Absolutely.
Than a bar.
Yep.
I feel like we could do some really interesting stuff. You and I had planned a musical number for the theater-based show. I forgot about that. Which we will save until we do one. Mm-hmm. Because that one will not happen in Vegas.
Oh boy, no.
But there would actually be a musical number with you and me. Mm-hmm. Which I still love the idea of.
I think it'd be great. We talked about it. You were taking lessons, and it's going to be fun.
Maybe maybe as we get to the 10th year of Trek Geeks, we'll look at that. Because we'll need some separation from all the crap.
We'll be separated by then.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would definitely like to do that. I would like to get to more conventions.
Yeah.
To meet people as Trek Geeks, not just as, rando attending a con.
Right.
I think that would be great, whether they're regional ones or whatever.
If they ever happen again.
Oh, they happen now. I mean, there's the Shoreleaf Con down on the Mid-Atlantic coast. There's a bunch of them all over the country. I will never want to do San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh gosh, no, that's like ridiculous. I know I jokingly meant the official one, but there are so many other non-official ones that are great. And every week my Facebook feed is just full of all the ones taking place in specific weekends and all the great Star Trek actors and actresses that are going to be there. So yeah, they're out there.
We got to cross off being a guest at an official Star Trek con. We did Mission Chicago last year.
Yep.
That was on my list.
Yes.
Of things I always wanted to do. We were invited guests of the convention. And that, I don't want to say awesome. Like that was like a feather in my cap, but I wore that like a badge of honor.
It was great.
And I was pretty damn proud of it for us. For me, I was like, yeah, because of the convention. Because I've been going to Star Trek conventions, probably as long or maybe not as long as some people listening.
Yeah.
It's since I was, a much younger lad. And it was
a long time ago then.
It was. I had always hoped that the con would be Vegas.
Yeah.
We did get our Vegas ticket punched last year. We were supposed to be invited guests to the Vegas con. We were, in fact. Yep. But we got moved to the Roddenberry stage due to the weird setup at Bally's.
Oy, that was fun.
But still,
had a great time up there.
That was one of the best times we've ever had at Vegas. That Stump the Geek.
It was fantastic.
Which Billingsley crashed, which was amazing.
Bad knee and all. Literally crashed.
Bad knee and all. There were only stairs off to the other side. The dude tried to crawl up on the stage.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're already old.
We've appeared on, nationally broadcast news outlets like Scripps News to talk about various Star Trek things, thanks to one of our great listeners, Brian Donlin, who's a producer for them, has been kind enough to invite us. We've been able to do a whole bunch of things simply just because we're two nerds who sit behind microphones.
Right. Yep.
And that's not lost on me.
No, it really is. I mean, look at how, 30 years ago where it was bad to be a Star Trek fan. You were, the nerd, the geek. That was a negative connotation.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shirts that I wear now, as often as I can, it's a picture of the Enterprise with the word nerd under it. It is my favorite shirt. I love it, and I'm proud of it. And that's something that is not lost on me at all as to how this fandom has evolved over the years into what it is now. And to be able to talk about it every week, or when we can, now that we're back, is not lost on me. I mean, it really is something that I don't take for granted at all.
No, and I mean, I try to be mindful of the folks who listen to this with every decision we make. It's not just we get together and do what we want to do. As hard as this may seem to believe, there's a lot of planning that goes into doing an episode of Trek Geeks.
Yep.
And not only do we want to have a conversation that we're going to enjoy, but we want to have a conversation that you're going to enjoy if you haven't already tuned out.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, it's the fly, I think, buzzing by me, or some alien moving at a hyper fast speed.
Ah, there you go.
I don't want to say I'm not saying this to garner pity by any means or sympathy, but it takes a lot of work to put out a podcast episode.
Yeah, it does.
And I love every second of it. I'm not going to lie.
It's always been something that not only is it something to be proud of, it's an accomplishment. And I'm going to give you all the credit in the world, man. It takes a lot to put out an episode. It takes a lot to run a network. And I will say that you are the guy that does like almost everything. And it makes me feel kind of bad sometimes that you do as much as you do. And you should be very proud of what has come over the past several years with the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. We have a great group of people who we love every single one of them so much for all of the hard work and dedication that they put into each and every one of their shows. But there has to be a giant machine where all the cogwheels are working to get all of that stuff done and out on time. And you, my friend, are the main cogwheel. So that is something that you should definitely wear as a feather in your cap, because you make it all look so smooth.
Well, that's because somebody's got to do it. You have Slack and a keyboard. Anytime you want to tell me to do something, you just go right ahead.
I'll tell you to do something. I thought you called me a slacker there for a second. I was like,
no. We use the collaboration tool Slack to communicate within the network.
Yep.
And do stuff. And it's made our lives much easier.
Way easier.
In communicating with everybody and getting, info to and from shows.
Yep.
It's when we first started that didn't exist, or at least it wasn't available. But Dan, I think what I want to do now is, we've talked about our Patreonicals many times, the amazing folks who support us and have for years now. I have a series of questions from them.
Oh boy.
All about, being on this journey of 300 episodes.
Okay.
And the first one is from our great friend, Helen Reed. Fantastic Patreonical. And she asks, how did the Farkism start? And what was the very first Farkism?
I could be wrong on this. I think the first Farkism was just a simple one, something along the lines of the Fark of Gideon. I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say that was maybe the first one. How they came about, I have no idea. I really don't. I think because, we were so happy to be able to use 5-Year Mission music, and we had been talking with Fark a lot, and he's just such a cool guy, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke and try to earn points with him. He's such a fun guy. We have such a great time whenever we have the opportunity to be with him in person, which is extremely rare. But the times that we've talked to him, we've had him on the show. We had the whole group on the show before they became part of the network, and I don't know how it came about. It just did. And it took off. We just were getting, fan mail after fan mail about keep them going, Dan, keep them going. I'm just kidding. That never really happened. But it was just something that caught on. And your reaction to him every week made me want to do them more and more. And I am not even joking. As we talk here, I'm going to try to pull it up if I can really quickly. I have a spreadsheet of all the ones that we've done for I don't know how many years. I did not start it when I actually started doing Farkisms, but as I look at this right now, it's 47 pages long.
47.
It's 40. I'm seeing. Wait a minute. Nope, it's still loading. So it was at 47, but it's still going now. But I'm going to scroll as we talk. I'm going to see if I can get down to the bottom as we're talking about it. But it's already up to 61 pages right now, and it's still going. But the first one that I have listed on this spreadsheet is from June 7th of 2016. And it's a very simple one. They've gotten more and more complex as time has gone on. But it says bunch of musicians all cramped and milling around. The Fark of Gideon. That's the first one I have in the spreadsheet. So,
and that's only 2 months into the podcast.
Yeah. So maybe it was around that. The next one was a Shaggy Mike Rittenhouse boring through stone. Devil in the Fark.
Oh God, I forgot about that. That's so terrible.
It is the will of Patrick. Peace and joy to you, friend. The return of the Farkons. I mean, they're just.
Let's not read through the greatest hits because I already want to puke.
Fark's brain. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's that. John Dean, another great friend of ours, asked,
oh, yes.
Who has been your favorite guest? Who would you love to have on? And what's your future vision for Pod Fleet Command 5 to 10 years down the road? And is there any way listeners can help make that a reality?
Oh, boy.
I know he's kind of filibustering there, but
wow.
We hit them all. Who's been your favorite guest?
Andy Robinson was so amazing because it was one of the first big names that we got. Right after that or right before that, we had Nana. Those were always two great ones. Jonathan Frakes was amazing because that was video, because we were actually doing an event for Feeding America, and that was great as well. it's hard to really choose who the favorite is. Those are ones that have always stood out, not so much because of who they were, but for the conversations that we had with them. I think that's a very important distinction. You could have the best star in the world, but if the conversation's garbage, then what the heck? It's no fun. And those were conversations that I thought were just fantastic. What about you? Who's your favorite?
I've been thinking about this. I have to say, we've had a lot of amazing guests.
Yeah.
I mean, like too many to count, quite frankly. I have to say Doug Jones has probably been my favorite guest.
So great. Yep.
Because he's the Doug that you get every other time. And plus, he was incredibly complimentary to us off mic, which really kind of blew me away. So personally, and both for the podcast, I'd have to say Doug Jones. Who would you love to have on, Dan?
Oh boy.
Realistically, let's be realistic about it.
I would love to talk to Sir Patrick Stewart. I mean, he's just such a legend. He did such a great job with what happened with Picard's final season. It was just everything I could have ever hoped for. And although the character has never been one that has been a favorite of yours through the years, or mine for that matter, but later in life, I've grown to appreciate him more as an actor and especially his character. I would love to have a one-on-one conversation or a two-on-one conversation with John Delancey. I just love what he did in Picard with Q. I think he's a fantastic actor. I loved him in Breaking Bad. And any guy who can join a fundraiser from his boat in the Pacific Ocean is pretty cool.
It really is. It really is. Who would I love to have on? Initially, I might have said that list was Jerry Ryan, but she's technically been on the show.
She's been on, yeah.
Because she was on, she was our headliner on Trek Talks, the first telethon. I would have said Anson Mount, but technically he's been on.
Bakula.
No, I wouldn't have said it. No. I'm gonna take a slightly different turn at this. I would love to have Melissa Navia on this show.
Oh, yes.
Strange New Worlds.
Absolutely.
Partly because I love Ortegas, partly because I've developed quite an appreciation for Melissa as a person, especially online.
Yes.
And how she has embraced Star Trek. I mean, like, she gets it, man. She totally gets it. And I feel like she's one of us.
I agree with that 100%. It has been both heartbreaking and uplifting at the same time to watch her share her personal struggle with losing her husband at the time of filming Strange New Worlds. And for her to be out there sharing that with us and telling everyone how doing the show was something that helped her get through it. And you're right, she has become a huge fan and she kills it every episode on Strange New Worlds. That's a great pick. I would love to get her on the show to talk to her because she's inspiring. She really is.
She really is. Yeah. What's your future vision for Podfleet Command 5 to 10 years down the road? And is there any way listeners can help make that a reality? That's a lot harder. I think that we talked a little about what we want to do, but future vision, one, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, period. There are some things that we may experiment with down the road, but the best way listeners can help make it a reality is to just keep listening.
Right.
Tell your friends about Trek Geeks, share the episodes, interact with us. That really is it, because it's the audience that the listeners in the audience are the reason why we do these things to start with.
Absolutely. I talked about it earlier. I don't want to set a goal for the network or for the show for that matter. I want us to have the same type of amazing, wonderful audience that we do now in 10 years. That would be something that I would cherish. Nothing lasts forever, but boy, in 10 years to still be having the listeners that we do and the support that we do and the friends that we do based on what we've been talking about on a week to week basis would be something that I would cherish. And so what can they do to help that? What you just said, just keep listening. Yep. That's it. That's all. It's not hard. Put your headset on and say, wow, Davidson's an idiot, just like he is every week, or Bill's doing great, just like he does every
those are the things they actually
10th
say.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, everybody that listens is a part of this journey. And the best way that you can help make it a reality is to still be there.
Yeah.
Dan, our good friend, the always on time Christina Werther asks, what future cosplays do you have planned?
Oh boy. I'll tell you what, I talked about John Delancey a minute ago. I would love to do a cosplay of Q from Picard season 2. That black suit that he wore with like I want to call it a turtle brooch, but it's not a turtle, but it reminds me of a turtle. That shiny ascot thing that he's got and the jacket that has a high pointed tip in the back. He looked damn good in Picard season 2, the old Q that we came to know in that season. I've got the goatee for it. I would just have to get a wig to get the white hair, but I think I could pull that one off. It wouldn't be difficult to do, but I would love to do that one.
I haven't seen you with hair since 1997.
Yeah, thanks. And it's I just shaved it the other day, so I don't have any right now either. I would love to do Admiral Thanos again at some point. That was just a cosplay mashup that I had never seen before, and Thanos is like my all-time favorite non-Star Trek character. I had a blast with it. The girl who did the makeup for me was fantastic, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. Of course, Galt could show up at any time because that's just, I got my own Galt pin, for God's sake. It's the Dan Galt. From Fansets.
I jokingly call it Fat Galt, but you have actually dropped a whole ton of weight, so I can't really call it that anymore.
Thank you. Yes, I put a little bit back on in the last month and a half with everything.
You and me both.
But I'm working on getting that taken care of, and I'm gonna. But yeah, those are the ones I've done and the ones I would like to do. How about you? Anything in mind?
No, cosplay's not really my thing.
I know it's not. Yeah. You could do a Gorn. You don't even have to dress up.
So Vikram Bhatt sends us a question. Moving right along. And here we go. I'm assuming that when you started off your podcast, you were simple Star Trek fans with no connection to any Star Trek actors or the company. That's a fact, actually. Mm-hmm. Now when you're interviewing or interacting with the actors, you both seem very natural and composed. Was there a time when you felt starstruck or giddy before interviewing an actor or someone from the Star Trek team? How did you overcome it and reach the level of comfort that you have now? Can I take this one first?
Yeah.
There is no level of comfort. I still get giddy and starstruck, Vikram. It sounds like we're not, partly because we're trying to do an interview and not sound like fanboys.
Right.
But I still get a little nervous every time we talk to somebody from Star Trek, because largely I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, I could not say that any more perfectly than you just did. Every single time we have someone coming on the show who has not been on before, or even who has been on before, I'm a giddy fangirl. And it takes everything for me to not show that during the interview, because we do want to be professional with these people. I mean, they're taking their time out of their day to talk to us, and we want it to be an intelligent conversation. And I got to say, that's something that I'm very proud of, is almost every time we've had somebody on, they're like, wow, that's a really good question, or I haven't really thought of that before. So it's been great, but I spend a ton of time with every guest that we're going to have on, trying to write up a great intro for them, which they all seem to enjoy. And I take it very seriously, because it's great to have these people on to share their memories from when they were on various shows. But don't for one second think that I'm not going, oh my God, because I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Anytime that I'll get in touch with somebody and I'll get a response and say, yeah, let's do it, I will immediately text Bill in all capital letters with a squee at the end or something like that, because that's what I do.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that no matter how long we do this podcast for, there's not going to be a time where we don't feel like starstruck fanboys.
Unless Billingsley comes on again, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, that's just like welcoming a friend back,
Exactly. Yeah.
The first time though, there was a little starstruckness.
It was, yeah, and it always is. I mean, these people made the stories that we love and continue to love and will always love. So to not be starstruck by them, something's wrong. And it doesn't matter who it is. They've been all fantastic.
Well, Dan, the next question is from Adam the intern.
Oh, okay.
Adam
Doing some work
Sanders, of
finally?
course, who's a Patreonical. I first met him at Northeast Trek Con a few years back.
That was very fun.
A fantastic quality guy and a great friend of ours.
Yep.
Adam says, we've all watched most episodes multiple times. As you've gotten older and experienced more in life, which episode affects you differently now than they originally did? For me, it's The Visitor, he says.
Oh, The Visitor always struck me. Of course, it struck me when I first saw it. It strikes me. I don't know if it strikes me differently. Maybe older, I can understand the older Jake portion of it a little bit more. That's a hard one. I want to say, where is this going to sound? Because you have talked me into checking out episodes that I have not liked in the past.
Yeah.
Up the Long Ladder's got a lot of meaning when you really watch it, and Move Along Home. Excuse me, Move Along Home has a lot more meaning if you really sit and think about what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as everybody thinks. And I got to say, if there's one that makes you think hard and you can get really emotional, Twilight. Twilight is just one of those almost perfectly written episodes that really makes you appreciate things in life. That's one that means a lot. So probably more to me now than it ever did when it first came out.
I can appreciate that. For me, it's the Voyager episode Night. Simply because, I mean, it deals a lot with Janeway's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get the Captain Proton bit and all that stuff, but Janeway has essentially sequestered herself away because she's not in a good place.
Yeah.
And at the time I think I first saw it, I was really not in a great place with my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I was on the verge of doing something terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But I had a lot going on and it was all weighing on me. And that episode really resonated with me when I saw it that second time since we've started doing the podcast.
Right.
It helped me see Janeway for the very complex person that she is. And I gained infinitely more respect for her just as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our captains aren't fallible. Our captains aren't, magical beings. They're human, with the exception of Saru naturally, but they get affected by things. And Night was really one of the first times we actually see that.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, as a Trekkie, as somebody whose mental health is always a primary concern, that it meant a great deal to me.
That's a great example, and you're absolutely right. And it is amazing how some of the episodes that might have the slightest idea of a topic can really resonate with a lot of people in different ways. So that's kind of cool that one hit you the way it did as an adult.
Yeah. Well, I was an adult both times, just a grayer one.
Don't joke with anybody. You're not an adult now.
That's true. Dan, the gracious and wonderful Connie Hutchins.
Connie Hutchins, how you doing, Connie?
Oh, Connie Hutchins, gracious and wonderful. Asks this question. A Star Trek dinner party, and you can each have 2 guests from the franchise, alive or dead. Who would you pick and why?
My first pick would be Doug Jones, because he is such a gift to humanity. What you see at conventions, what you see on stage, what you see when he's sitting behind the table signing autographs and hugging you and squeezing your face and pinching your cheeks is the type of person that he is wherever you see him. He is just a great person to be around, and he just brings love and happiness to everything that he does. So he would definitely be one of the people that I would pick. Boy, that's a good. Who would I pick for number 2? I got to think about that for a second while you talk about either one or your 2.
I know my 2 right off the bat, and I've always known it'd be Leonard Nimoy and Rene Aubergenois.
Rene,
just so I could tell him how much I missed them.
Yes. Oh, why'd you have to say it like that, man? Rene would be my second one. Rene was the character that I probably loved the most in all of Star Trek, because he was the person that I wanted to hang out and be friends with, because I knew that I could get to be friends with him, because he didn't want to be friends with anybody, it seemed, on the outside. And I loved his gruff. I loved that I want to be alone mentality that he had, and I wanted to be the person that would break that and become friends with him. He did become friends with people, but he was always distant. And Renee did such a goddamn great job with that character. It is something that I will always love, and I will always regret never going up and talking to him at a convention when I had opportunities. The same with Aaron. You never know when they're going to be gone. So if they're sitting there, that's what they're there for. They're there to talk to the fans. Go up, talk to them. I never got that chance, and it is something I will regret forever. And
they're just people.
Yep.
You know, they may be on TV, but they want to hear from you as much as you want to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna tag this as explicit, so I'm not going to worry about bleeping anything. But yeah, I would have to tell Renee I fucking miss you.
Yeah.
Because he was just such a beacon of positivity and kindness and light. I would say we'll never see his kind again, but we'll never see him.
Yeah.
In that light again. And that's the saddest part.
There's always certain things or people that leave a mark on you forever. And there are things that happen in history that you always remember what you were doing and where you were. I've talked about this before on the show. I know exactly where I was, what I was doing the second you texted me and said that Renee had passed away. I was at Disney World, at Hollywood Studios, talking to a cast member at a store, and I was looking for a particular thing that I could see online that they had, but I was trying to find it in this particular store. You texted me, and I had to tell the woman, I'm sorry, I just got some bad news, I have to leave. And I went outside on a park bench and started crying.
Yeah.
I've never met him, never talked to him, never met him. And it hit me that hard. That's someone who is special. And it was a very sad day that day, and continues to be.
Indeed. Well, we're going to continue with another heavy question. Because I don't know that Connie intended that question to be heavy, but it turned out that way. Simply just because that's who I am.
There's something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Yeah. That's
Sorry.
This question actually is heavy. And of course, Dan, one of our most commented on, listened to, impactful episodes is probably the one where we talk about captive pursuit and what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And so William Edward M. Jr. asks, Dan has mentioned many times how Star Trek has saved his life, which is always amazing to hear, and I second that. I would like to know if the events of that fateful day occurred while Dan and Bill were friends, and what Bill's reaction was when he heard what had transpired. Dan, we're also glad you're here with us still, and also happy that you had the chance to tell your story to Cole Meaning and Scott McDonald. Live long and prosper.
Wow,
thank you, William, for that question.
Yeah, thanks, William. That's a great thing to say. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's a little bit awkward and a little bit strange. Bill and I were friends before the events of what happened, but based on things that I did, we had gone a while without really seeing each other. And that's of course no ill will towards you, buddy.
No, not at all. No, but let's be honest about it and call it out. I told you to take a hike
because I treated you like shit.
We had a falling out.
Yep.
And I didn't do it out of anger.
Yep. It had to be done though.
It had to be done.
Yeah. And I totally respected it. And I was actually, it's funny. You remember things like we just talked about Renee. I remember where I was when we had that conversation.
As do I.
Yeah. So we were friends beforehand. There was a time in between where we had not seen or spoken to each other for several years, and everything that happened with Captive Pursuit was during that time where he and I were not in contact. So the events of Captive Pursuit happened. I did not take my own life, and I started on a road to recovery. And along that road, just right down the road from my house right now, one night, I just happened to be going to dinner with my lovely bride, and who was sitting at a table as we're leaving, but Bill Smith and another good friend, Craig Ewing, and I kind of stopped and said hi and asked how things were going, and that rekindled that friendship that we had lost for a few years because of my own stupidity. So I'm glad that fateful or eventful night took place so that we could start over again, and it's been fantastic ever since.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. In fact, probably better than it ever was before.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you and I talk literally every day.
Every single day. Yep.
One of the questions that William had asked was what my reaction was when I heard what transpired. And I have to say it was guilt. It was tremendous guilt. Because I'm better than that. You know, I don't, I'm going to choose these words very carefully. I don't abandon friends. And to hear that had happened in hindsight, I felt tremendous guilt for a long time. I no longer feel that guilt now. But at the time it was heavy. I mean, when you hear that somebody is pushed to that point, you stop and say to yourself, what could I have done? And I know now nothing.
Yeah,
I know there's nothing I could have done, but you know, it's when you look at it in hindsight, it's easy to say that though.
Yeah. Anybody who knows the situation knows that you sure as hell shouldn't have been the person feeling guilt. I should be the one who feels and felt guilt for putting you in that situation. And I'm sorry that you had to feel that guilt, because it certainly was not anything that you should have felt. It was 100% all on me. And no matter how many times you say yes, but, I will say no, but. So, but out. I'll tell you what, man, I've said it before and I will say it until the day I die. Going through that time and that, and what I like to call the captive pursuit time.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I would do it all again in a second. Go through all of that misery and depression and guilt and feeling that I just was worthless, knowing that I would have what I've got now at the end of that tunnel. And I mean everything. I know, you know, I've always said, you know, I would have never met Sue if it wasn't for everything that happened. We would not have started our friendship over again if that hadn't happened. I have countless positive things to be thankful for as a result of what happened to me. Everything that happened that was negative has been finally resolved. I've received forgiveness from the people that I need to receive forgiveness from. And I have, after 10 years, I was finally able to put it behind me. I had learned from it. I continue to learn from it. I do think about it still. But you feeling guilt over it is something that I just wish I could wipe away.
Well, but it was important for me to feel it, right? Because it told me how important our friendship is. And it made that night at that restaurant, you know, much easier. You know, it was easier for us to fall right back into where we were because we were who we were.
Right.
But anyway, let's change it up a little bit here. Our good friend John Krikorian, the amazing host of the Trek Profiles podcast, which is quite frankly one of my favorites.
Yep.
Asks, what's the biggest Star Trek thing that you disagree about? Which is amazing because you and I agree on a lot of things.
We do agree on a lot of things. There's so much talk about Tuvix. That may not be the biggest thing, but that's the one that comes to mind first off.
Really?
Yeah. There's so much debate and split over that. And I'm sorry. I'll always say she did the right thing. I would, if it was, let's say, for example, let's say it was you and I were two different people that got split into one person, and I was the person that made the decision. I would want Bill and Dan back again.
We don't disagree on this, though.
Yeah. He's asking what we disagree. I thought he meant just in general. Oh boy.
Yeah, that we disagree about. Oh, because Janeway straight up totally should have murdered Tuvix. I'm right there.
Oh man, I don't know.
The biggest disagreement that I know of is what is the worst Star Trek movie of all time?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You say it's Generations. I say it's Nemesis by a long shot.
No, you're wrong. It's Generations.
No, we're still going to disagree about that. I am not a fan of Nemesis. Now, maybe I don't hate Nemesis now as much because we just had the Picard season 3 finale and season 3. But no, I just think Nemesis was terrible. Just so bad.
Yeah, that's if I agreed with you, then we'd both be wrong.
Jeez, what a jerk.
So there, John, is probably the biggest thing we disagree about. But I mean, that's what it's totally subjective. I mean,
Yeah.
It could have been anything.
Right.
But for us, that just seems to be it. Because for most episodes, we typically agree.
Right. We do. It's very few that we have had differing opinions on.
Yesterday's Enterprise is one of those.
Oh, yes, that's true.
You love it, I hate it.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
That's probably another one.
Yeah, that's another one that you're wrong about, but that's okay.
You like Chekhov. I have always hated Chekhov.
I wouldn't say that I like Chekhov. I just don't dislike him. Does that make any sense?
So you're just...
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm waffling. That's okay.
You like Q, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah.
I love John Delancey, don't get me wrong.
And I will say I love Q a lot more since Picard Season 2. Even though a lot of people don't like Picard Season 2, I'm not one of those people. I absolutely enjoyed it. But I like what old Q did. I like what he did in the season.
I think we disagree on Picard Season 2.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're a huge fan of.
I'm not.
I love the alternative timelines. I love the skulls, and I just thought Delancey.
There are elements of it that are fantastic, but there's no cohesive story.
I take it as not a big deal because there's so many good parts to enjoy.
You're so easy to please.
Yeah, I am. It's Star Trek. I love it anyway.
That's the Jim Morehouse effect that we've both fallen into over time. You and I used to be so critical about things, and now we just love it all.
Yep, true. That's what happens when you get old.
That's true. And then the last question I have for now, it comes from our good friend Charlie Mulvey. Charlie, who always finds a way to make things interesting in discussion. And he has set a rule for this question.
Oh, boy.
Bill has to answer for Dan, and Dan has to answer for Bill. Here it is.
Okay.
You're both going to have a red shirt cameo in any episode of any series of Trek. Tell us which episode and how each of us goes out. So you tell me what episode and how I go out, and I'll tell you what episode and how you go out.
Can it be what I would like to have you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And let me ask you this other question. Does it have to be a red shirt that we saw die? Or can it just be like, oh, you were this one person who died and this is how you died?
Dan, the world is your canvas.
I would like you to be the person that gets the hypo spray of that disease that Mirror Universe Garrick has to make your insides boil. You're welcome.
Well, that's good. That's good. Dan, for you,
oh boy,
I wouldn't necessarily give you a red shirt, but I would pin some Vulcan ears on you and make you Commander Sonak in Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh, ouch!
Just so I could hear Janice Rand say, "Oh no, they're forming," and you never really quite form.
Right.
You would go out in a transporter accident.
And you would go, what we got back didn't live long. Unfortunately.
Yeah, because I would want you to experience
I know. Yes.
Quite a while.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So basically, to answer his question, we both die horribly painfully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Dan, we have a special extra treat today for the 300th episode.
Treats are fun.
I love treats. Treats make me happy. But you know what else makes me happy is voicemails.
Yes, always good.
It's not often that we get them.
Nope.
But we did have a good number of listeners, probably about 10 or so, send in some voicemails to us on the occasion of our 300th episode, which I thought was really kind of cool.
Very cool. And it's nice to get these type of messages. It means a lot to me when, it's one thing for people to take time out of their busy schedule to listen to us. It's another thing for them to take time out of their schedule to record a message to send to us. So these are really special to me. So I really appreciate it to everybody.
I thought we'd go through these one by one. I've put them in alphabetical order. So there's no favoritism. We didn't, put anybody else up front or purposefully, put somebody at the end.
Yes.
Although there's one that I'd probably just delete.
Wow.
I know, I'm kidding. But first, we're going to hear from our friend from Down Under.
Yes.
Blake Strike.
Right.
Blake here. Congrats, Bill and Dan, on your spectacular achievement of 300 episodes of Trek Geeks. You have built a federation of amazing and talented folks with the most mellifluous tones around. I'm looking forward to the next 300. Kapla! And live long and prosper.
Thank you so much, Blake. That is amazing. Kapla indeed.
Empire. He almost said it.
He almost did.
I like it, but I like his correction. Oh, that's really nice. It's always great to hear from somebody who's like literally a world away. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about the podcast is that we have people from all over the world that listen, and it still blows my mind every time I think about it. So it's always good to hear from Blake.
Agreed. Our next voicemail is from our good friend Brad DeMag.
Brad.
And I'm going to play that now.
Hey, Bill and Dan. Brad DeMay calling in to congratulate you both on 300 episodes of Trek Geeks. Even the Farkisms. You continue to highlight the joy and pain that Star Trek provides and the various voices in the community on the podcast network. So again, congrats on 300 and looking forward to 300 more. But if Dan gets abducted by Section 31 and never returns, we understand. Live long and prosper, gentlemen.
You know, I think you could think of us as the givers of pain and delight, if you will.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering why Section 31 would kidnap you, quite frankly.
They need somebody to run the show, and they know that I'll do it perfectly.
Wait, this is... You're not joking.
Oh, no, of course I'm not joking.
This is awkward now.
Wait a minute. Even the Farkisms? Come on, man. Wow.
Hey, it's the listeners. It's not me.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
No,
I guess.
No, it really doesn't.
The heart doesn't want what the heart doesn't want, I guess.
The heart's an idiot.
Speaking of which, who do we have next? Oh,
wow. You're going to get us sued again?
Oh,
and that's correct. The next voicemail is from the man, the myth, the legend, Fark.
Bill, Dan, Trek Geeks 300. Who ever would have thought that this little podcast marriage would go this far? 300 episodes. Oh, yeah. By the way, it's Fark from 5 Year Mission. Anyway, you recognize the voice by this point. Good enough to be mentioned every week. Good enough for my band to be the entirety of all the music that you play. But apparently not good enough for me to be a guest on episode 300. What's up with that? Back in 2015, episode 20, you first saw the first appearance of Fark. Matter of fact, I noticed that Dan was still referring to me as Andy at that point, and it weirds me out to think of it. Anyway, so, episode 300. Bill, Dan, love you both, miss your faces, your faces. Anyway, congratulations. Here's to 300 more, and hope you drop dead. Okay, bye.
Wow. Total Fark right there.
One might argue that by virtue of us playing that voicemail, he was a guest on the 300th episode.
I will say yes to that. Yes. Yeah.
I think we have a quorum. And I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means, but all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. Motion carries.
There you go.
Fark was a guest on 300. Yes. We did
little
it.
Robert's rules there. I like it.
I gotta say, for all the stuff that we say about Fark and F1, he has a very cool radio voice. He should be one of those people that is like the 8 to midnight shift at the romantic radio station. 95.7 WZID. I'm Fark. It's one of those type of things because it's pretty cool.
His voice is like butter. Well, when we did the second Lido Deck episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we created the fake podcast network, the Rumpus Room podcast network. The first person I thought of to record the voice bumper for that was Fark, because it's just perfect.
Yes.
It's exactly what I wanted. And his voice is like butter. I mean, there's Barry White, there's Fark.
Yeah. And
That's all I'm saying.
Everybody else.
Everybody else.
He is one of the things that I truly love about the fact that we've done this for so long is we get to become friends with people like Fark. We have a great time giving each other crap and bashing on each other, but he's a great friend. He's hilarious. And that's one of the positive aspects of what's come out of Trek Geeks.
Are there any negative aspects? I want to be clear.
Recording with you every week. See, I'm back at it now. It's been an hour. It's back to, your faith jokes.
Every week. You haven't done it for 5 fucking months.
But it feels like every week.
That's lame as you are.
I'm sorry.
Well, Dan, our next voicemail is from one of our oldest and dearest friends from the podcast, and also one of our Camp Kittimer admins.
Yes.
That is the lovely and talented Jackie, and here she is.
Wow. 300 episodes. That's just crazy. Well, not really when you think that we're going to get at least 300 more. Can't wait, just like every episode, waiting with bated breath. Love you guys so much. Congratulations.
Camp Kittimer is an amazing place, as we talk about all the time. And one of the reasons it runs as well as it does is because of our admins. Obviously, Fark is one. Jackie is one of the others. And of course, Haley being the third, in addition to you and I. But Jackie has been with us pretty much from the get. And we couldn't ask for a better friend to have come out of this. All the friends we've made from this are great.
Yeah.
But Jackie is near and dear to us.
She's very special. It's amazing. The darkest of things going on in a person's life, she will find a ray of sunshine in it to make sure you know about. And that is speaking from experience. She is a wonderful person. I am so glad that she's part of the Trek Geeks family, being an admin over in Camp Kittimer, and she's a dear friend. So I really appreciate the message that she just gave us. Thank you, Jackie.
She must know that you're the darkest thing going on in my life.
The dark cloud. Yes.
Oh, don't I know it? It's raining on me every day.
Every single day.
Every freaking day. Well, Dan, our next voicemail is from our good friend Lionel, another one of our Patreonicals. And let's hear what he has to say.
Hello, Bill and Dan. Lionel here. Congratulations on your 300th episode. And I just have to say, 300 is not dangerous. Well, maybe I should leave the impressions to Dan. Anyway, it's been a long road. Listening to the show turn into what it's become and watching the network grow, which is pretty awesome. So here's what we're hoping for. Many, many more episodes. Great job and keep up the good work.
Well, that was fantastic. I love how he worked in a 300 is not dangerous. That was pretty fantastic.
It was, absolutely.
Despite the fact it's from Cyrano Jones and Dan Davidson.
It will never get old. It will never get old, Bill.
I hate you so much, Dan.
Sorry.
I don't hate Lionel because Lionel's wonderful to us. But Dan, you are a piece of junk.
Wow. Okay, so you're back to what we usually are at also, I see.
Well, I don't want to disappoint.
I'm okay with it, though.
I figure I've been doing it now for $2.99. I may as well wrap it around to 300.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what we do. Lionel, thank you so much for the voicemail. It was great to see you last year in Chicago. We hope we get to do it again at one of these cons sometime soon. Dan, our next voicemail is from our friend Pete Kennedy, who we've seen certainly in Camp Kittimer and among places, but here he is now.
Hey guys, this is Pete Kennedy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I first found your podcast in the spring of 2019 on a random search through iHeartRadio, and I've enjoyed listening to you guys talk Trek ever since. I love your interviews with Trek actors, as well as the See It or Skip It podcasts. Those are always a lot of fun. Your fandom has reawakened my own. You guys inspired me to do a complete rewatch of DS9 and start up a complete watch of Voyager, soon to be followed by Enterprise. And you inspired me to stay caught up on all of the current Trek shows as well. I'm a TNG lover at heart. That's my Trek sweet spot. But I absolutely love the top 10 worst TNG episodes podcast you guys did with Jim Morehouse. I've heard that thing 100 times, and I laugh each time I listen. I appreciate the positive community that you guys established on Facebook. I touch base with Camp Kittimer every day, knowing that even when opinions differ, people there will be respectful and welcoming. That is rare on social media and very much appreciated. Thank you both so much for everything that you two clowns have done for this franchise, for Trek fans across the globe, and for me personally. Congratulations on hitting this milestone of 300 episodes. I wish you nothing but continued success, as well as peace and long life.
Wow.
And to you as well, Pete. Thank you so much for the voicemail. That top 10 or bottom 10 episode of TMG was so long ago, I had almost forgotten about it.
Yeah. And anytime we have Morehouse on, it's going to be something special. But I got to say, I really appreciate what Pete had to say there, especially with Camp Kittimer. We wanted to make sure that there was somewhere out there where people could get together to talk about Star Trek in a positive way. And we don't allow the bashing, and we will shut people down right away. Do it because we want people to go there, have fun, feel safe, and talk about what they love. So I appreciate the fact, Pete, that you love going to Camp Kittimer every day. We certainly see you posting, and we love it. And thanks for being a listener and a fan. And that was really a special message. That one really hit me in the feels, buddy.
Thank you for being a friend.
Stop it right now.
You've got to watch the Golden Girls.
I watched the first episode a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Special. I was going to save it for a special occasion. I guess
this
300.
is a special occasion.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got the whole series. It's all ready. Well, I did it because my nephew asked me if I would get it. So, so I did. And so I said, all right, I'll watch. So I watched the first episode.
That comedy still stands up today.
It does. So what I've seen so far, I'm not going to bash it. I'm not going to say I love it yet because I'm only one episode in, but I'm giving it a chance.
The amazing part is that we right now are older than Betty White is supposed to be in the Golden Girls.
Why did you have to even say that? Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, dude, this just means at some point, we spin off this podcast into the Golden Geeks when you and I are still in the nursing home and recording podcasts.
Thank you for being my FARC.
Do. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Pete, thank you again so much. It's funny because you're the one of us that didn't want to do a Facebook group. I pitched you the idea. You said, no way. I want no part of that.
Because I know what social media is like. And we made it in a way that it is so much opposite of what I know social media to be. Everybody who listens to the show knows how much I hate social media. I purposely got myself suspended from Twitter so I wouldn't have to be on it anymore. And I'm all the better person for it. So yeah, I'm glad that we have a great place on Facebook where people can go and be safe and talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, you did it the right way by getting banned.
Yeah.
I deleted my account and then it reappeared.
See? Yep, and it didn't really take me very long. It took me like 2 tweets, and it wasn't even that bad. So, nice job, Elon Musk, you dip.
Did you realize that, and this is a tangent, but you brought up Elon. Did you realize that the word felon and the phrase F Elon have the same letters?
Gee, I think that is the highlight of my day.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Dan, our penultimate voicemail today is from our good friend Ryan Jeffs. He who's always in Camp Kittimer. He who's a Patreonical. And he who is an unabashed fan of Star Trek Generations.
Good job, buddy.
I'm 99% positive that's going to come up. And I'm going to click this voicemail anyway. So here we go with a voicemail from Ryan.
Is this here the number for the Trek Geeks podcast? This is Ryan Jeffs calling. I'm a longtime listener and Patreonical, but first-time caller. I wanted to congratulate you on your 300th attempt to make a successful hostage tape. Maybe one day someone will pay the ransom. In all seriousness, though, I want to thank you for making us laugh, cry, or cringe along with you for 300 episodes. It is often said these days how this is the best time in history to be a Trek fan. And Bill and Dan, you are part of the reason that statement is true. Now, on to more important matters. Don't think I would call in and not bring this up. And Bill, if this is cut out, I know it will be no accident. But I just want to say, for the record, as Trek movies go, Generations is absolutely, by far...
Now, I want to state for the record, I did not cut any of that. That is where his voicemail ends, and I have the paperwork to prove it.
That is hysterical. I think he was going to say the best.
Yeah, he absolutely was. But I love how he sets me up there.
I think he did it on purpose, actually.
I'm positive he did.
I think that is wonderful. I just love the Trek Geeks. That was the highlight of that voicemail for me.
That was good.
That was fantastic.
I accidentally skipped a voicemail, so I apologize. I need to go back and play one from our good friend Jason Marks.
How could you forget Jason Marks?
I accidentally skipped it. I just said I didn't say I forgot it.
Okay.
It's in the list. I clicked on the wrong one.
Personally, I thought you were saving the best for last, so I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, there's still one more after him. So.
I understand that.
So you're saying now he's not the best?
No,
Why would you be that way, Dan? You see what I did there?
Just play the damn thing.
Did you step on the garden rake?
Hey, Bill and Dan, this is Jason Marks. I just wanted to say I've enjoyed listening to your podcast over the last few years and our interactions with each other through social media. You guys are the best. Here's to 300 more. Love you guys. Live long and prosper.
You know, we always have a special place in our hearts for a fellow Boston sports fan.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jason, thank you so much, brother.
Yeah.
We always appreciate your support. He is probably one of the most frequent posters in Camp Kittimer.
He just got an award for being a top poster. I saw the post, and I'm like, yep, that makes perfect sense. He's fantastic. And I got to say, when I was on Twitter, but I'm not anymore, I used to love those tweets about Boston sports. So I'm sure he's keeping them going.
He absolutely is.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, he's a great guy. And dude, you're a big fan of Boston sports. We got to get together and have some beers over a Bruins game or something. Come on now. Let's do it.
Hey, I'm not disagreeing one bit. We got to do it before I relocate someday.
There you go.
So Dan, one more voicemail to go. I'm going to set this up just a little bit. So last year at Star Trek Las Vegas, the convention formerly known as Star Trek Las Vegas, one of our campers, Willow, came up to us with gift bags and care packages.
Yes.
Simply just to get us through the weekend. Things like herbal tea.
Yes.
And all kinds of stuff, snacks, because she knew we were in the booth all day. Completely unexpected, but it was so great to meet Willow last year, and she was kind enough to send us a voicemail. Here we go.
Hey, Bill and Dan. It's Willow. Congratulations on number 300. That's a huge achievement. I appreciate the work that you guys put in, the hard work, and I appreciate equally the fun that you bring. So thank you for all of that. Here's to 300 more, and I can't wait to catch up in August. Take care. Be safe.
Beautiful.
So awesome, Willow. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that sent a voicemail to be part of our 300th episode. It's always great. It's just, we love the hell out of it, Dan. We really do.
We really do. And it's one thing, we'll get voicemails. We used to get voicemails and we get emails all the time. I think it's great to share these like we're doing in this episode. It's really great to hear from everybody and then to let everybody hear what other people have to say. I think that's important. And like I said, I'm so appreciative of the fact that people are taking the time out to congratulate us on our 300th and talk to us. And it doesn't have to be just for the 300th. Give us a call, leave a voicemail, make fun of Bill. I'll play him every day of the week.
Wow. Wow, it came to that. I'm surprised you haven't started a TikTok channel to make fun of me.
Tick what?
Yeah, see, TikTok is this thing that kids use.
Yeah, I don't use that. I'm old.
Don't I know it?
I don't even know how to use Instagram, for God's sake.
Believe me, that's on my mind all the time because it's not that hard.
I don't get it. I just can't figure it out. I've been tagged in something. It takes me like 20 minutes to find it. I don't even bother.
So I was looking recently at some of the countries we've been listened to.
Okay.
Countries that have downloaded our episodes.
Okay.
And there are some of the heavy hitters. I mean, there's Canada, obviously. There's the United States, Mexico, a goodly chunk of South America. There's Brazil. There's Bolivia.
Really? Huh.
Argentina, Chile. But as we start to get into other parts of the world, Dan, our podcast has been downloaded in Russia,
okay,
China, India, Nepal.
Oh, okay. Up high.
Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
The United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
Nigeria. Hopefully to be part of a scam because that would be amazing.
The president of Trek Geeks needs to give you 20 million rupees or something.
Algeria.
Wow.
Morocco. I'm pretty sure South Africa is one. Yes, it is.
I've been there.
Australia, Indonesia, which I never expected.
Antarctica?
No, not that I know of. Malaysia.
Okay.
Thailand.
Wow.
Obviously, Japan. I say obviously like it wouldn't be
what the
obvious. I know. Pretty much all of Scandinavia.
All of Scandinavia. Okay.
All of the UK.
Yeah.
Spain, Portugal, France,
My goodness.
Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Poland, Latvia, Estonia, the Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, Macedonia, Greece, Serbia, Hungary, Croatia, Austria, the Czech Republic, Switzerland, Italy. And that's really just
now I'm nervous.
That's off the top of my head.
Now I'm nervous, and I'm like worried that I've done something wrong.
What countries we still have yet to conquer?
Conquer. I like that.
Iceland.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to get a download or two in Iceland. That would be pretty cool.
Greenland.
Greenland. That would also be very cool.
Antarctica.
I would love that. I don't know that there's any internet service there.
Oh, there could be.
Maybe.
Yeah, didn't they find Captain America's shield there?
That was at, I think, the North Pole, buddy.
Oh, okay. That's true. It was. You're right. Good point.
Yeah.
Correction there. Sorry.
Yeah. So, over 300 episodes.
That's amazing.
We've been heard in all of those countries. And that's really kind of hard to wrap my brain around because when we first started, we thought maybe a dozen people would be listening.
Yeah. We got to figure out if anybody's taken it up to the International Space Station. Wow. That would be awesome.
So you would like to be a Star Trek podcast in space?
Yeah. Yeah. We can probably figure out a way to do that. I'm going to have to
Let's see what we can do to make that happen.
All right.
I'm
I like
for
it.
that goal.
I love it. I love it.
I put you in charge of that.
I will be right on that.
Yeah.
www.nasainspace.org.
Is that really the URL?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, buddy, we've been talking a lot about ourselves this episode, and we don't often do that.
No.
And for anybody who's checked out long before this, believe me, dear great bird of the galaxy, I understand. Because there's only too much you can listen to two middle-aged nerds.
Middle?
Well, I'm being kind to us. We're not yet senior citizens. We're not in our 40s.
No.
Although we do qualify for AARP.
I don't know.
Anyone listening to these two pre-AARP Trek podcasters, we're grateful. And if you've made it in this long, you really have a lot to talk about with your therapist. Buddy, it's been an amazing run so far, and I'm excited and hopeful for the future as I look at the massive task list I have before Vegas.
Yeah.
Some of which is going to get sloughed off on you when you get back.
Yeah.
By the surprise.
Yeah.
I'm even more excited about the coming years. It's like you said, we've always said that we'll keep doing this as long as it's fun. And the shorthand of that is we'll always keep doing it because it will always be fun.
Absolutely. It will always be fun. That's one of the things that we've talked about before. We're only going to do this until it's not fun for us anymore. When is that ever going to happen?
I don't know.
Maybe when my memory goes worse than it already has. I know you're waiting for me to do that.
I was.
But it's so much fun. And I got to say, I'm going to do a special hello here for a second. It's always great to welcome new people who have started at Camp Kittimer or listening to the podcast. We've met people in Vegas. We've met people in Chicago. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity. Sue and I go to a breakfast place out in Londonderry, New Hampshire, very often. It's one of our favorite places. And I'm going to give it to it's Janie's Uncommon Cafe. It's a fantastic place in Londonderry. We go there at least twice a month, if not more. And one day we were waiting to be seated, and the hostess was there and talking to other people. And Sue noticed that she had a TNG badge tattoo on her arm, and I didn't even notice it. And so after we ate, we were leaving, and I started talking to her, and I told her all about the show. I asked her what she liked, and I asked her if she had seen Picard. She hadn't watched it yet. She was waiting to binge it, and I said, no, you cannot wait. You have to start watching it now. So she started watching her. Her name is Carly. She's now a member of Camp Kittimer. She's listening to the show. I just wanted to give a special shout out to her and thank her for becoming part of our Trek family. And that's one of the things that I enjoy the most. When you start talking to somebody about Star Trek, their eyes just light up. You get excited talking about it. And that's what I feel like every time we sit down and record, man. It's so much fun. It's something that I am so happy that you talked to me about doing. And I just love you for it. It's great. Happy 300 to you, buddy.
Oh, happy 300 to you too, buddy. You know, we wouldn't be here, you know, without all of the people we've met along the way, quite frankly. It's been a remarkable ride. Every person that has ever downloaded or listened to or interacted with this podcast, positively or negatively. I mean, if you tried this show and you hated it, that's a part of our journey.
Yep.
And everybody has helped weave the fabric of this show. It all matters in the scope of this show because we're not the podcast we started off as. That hostage tape is rough. I'm not going to lie. And we kind of sound like we know what we're doing, which is even scarier.
I don't know.
Well, you don't. I sound like a seasoned professional.
There you
I'm
go.
not the
Thank
one of
you.
us that went to broadcasting.
I'm the color guy. I'm just there for the yucking it up.
Just a bit outside, ball four.
Absolutely.
But honestly, buddy, this thing never would have gotten off the ground if you hadn't actually taken the time to consider my request or my ask if you'd want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Once you learned about what they were and you saw or you heard what they are like, you were totally on board. And without you, this doesn't work. So I'm forever grateful to you for actually saying yes, because you could have just said no,
which I originally did.
No, but I mean, you could have stayed strident with that answer.
Yeah.
And none of this happens if you say no. So for as much as you like to give me the credit for the hard work that goes on, none of this hard work happens if you didn't agree to do it in the first place.
Well, I really appreciate that. And it's funny. I cannot fathom what my life would be like. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I am such a happy person. There are so many positive things in life, even with the unfortunate things that are going on right now. Such a lucky person with all the things. I cannot fathom what my life would be like if I hadn't been doing this for the last 8 years or however many years we've been doing it, 300 episodes long. It is built into my DNA. It is always going to be here. And it's something that I can't imagine living without. So thank you for bringing up the idea. And it's the next 300 are going to be just as great.
Well, I hope so, but you're going to be on them. So it's really hard to say. And so is your face.
I got one more nice thing I want to say, and I was going to wait and do this for the end of the show, but I figured I'd do it now. A little while ago, you mentioned that I was going to be away, and in just a couple of days, I am taking a vacation with my wife, and my nephew graduated from the Royal Veterinary College over in London last year, and we had planned to go over and visit him before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit and that went out the window. And then we were going to go to his graduation last year and that went out the window because they still had protocol in place. So we are going over in a couple of weeks. And with all of the things that we are going to be doing while we're over there, I have been able to carve out the time where this is going to be one of the best moments, not only of the trip, but maybe of my entire adult life. I am going to be meeting a very special person in just a few days, and that is Bill, our senior producer of Trek Geeks, Jude Tatman. I have put together this get-together with his mom. I cannot wait for this to happen. He is such a wonderful young man, and it's going to be awesome. And this is one of the things that I talked about earlier about what is so special about doing this podcast is you get to meet people like Jude, who has been so wonderful to us, and we've made him the senior producer. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if he's going to hear this before I get there. He knows I'm coming, but I can't wait to see you, buddy. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a great time, and it's just going to be without Bill, so that's going to even make it better. So be ready, because it's going to be epic, and I can't wait to see you, my friend.
So I'm going to spill the beans on this now. I'm assuming that you're taking with you the item I dropped off on your doorstep.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, so Jude, when you hear this, the other day I posted to my social media a photo of my TNG uniform from 30 years ago. So Jude, I'm going to tell you the story about this because I meant to record you a video and I forgot. So here it is for everyone to hear on Trek Geeks. So a little over 30 years ago, I went to a convention in Providence, Rhode Island. It was the first TNG related convention I'd gone to. It was a creation show, and Michael Dorn was the special guest. one of the things that the friend I went with at the time bought was a pattern for the TNG uniforms. Because, I mean, dealers' rooms were like that. You get patterns for anything. He bought the pattern. And then he says to me, he goes, look, I know somebody who can make this for us. And it'll be cheap. It'll be even cheaper if we use sweatshirt material. So my custom-made, tailored for 1991 or two, TNG uniform is made out of a very nice sweatshirt material. It is well worn. And Jude, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to, use it, if it even fits you, I don't know. But if you want to make alterations to it, if you want to throw it in the bin, either way. But Jude, I am leaving you with my TNG uniform as a thank you, as a respect of your fandom, and as a token of friendship. Because, buddy, you're the best, and we love you.
Well said.
Wow, that's all you got.
That's all I got. I'm going to tear up if I say much more. So, I will also say we got some other surprises for him, but that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Oh, I know some of the big surprises. C'est bon. Well, Dan, speaking of thanks, as always, my thanks to you for being along for this ride. I love you. I couldn't do it without you. I know people think our relationship is weird. Some people have thought we're gay. But we are just two brothers, who are not born into the same family.
Right.
And you're it, buddy. You're the brother I chose, and I'm so glad that you're a part of my life still.
I cannot say it any better than you did, man. Yeah, people thought we've been married before.
Yep.
It's kind of funny. Nope, we're just two friends that to have like a husband and husband relationship, and we just like to beat the snot out of each other verbally, but we still love each other, and we have a great time doing it, and we never mean anything by it. We always there just having fun doing what we do, and I love sitting in this chair when we record and having a great time, and even when we're not recording, having a great time when we get together. It's important to have good people in your life, and you, my friend, are right there up the top. So thank you.
And obviously, thank you to everybody that's listening. Trek Geeks is, of course, Dan and I, but it doesn't work without all of you putting us in your ears. So sincere, massive thanks to you all, because Trek Geeks is what it is today because of all of you. And I know you agree with that, because if you don't, I'm going to slap you.
I don't want to be slapped, so I agree with you. I agree with you anyway.
You know who does want to slap you, Dan? And that's
I know.
Fark from 5 Year Mission.
Especially after what I said earlier, yeah.
Especially after you didn't make him a guest on this episode.
But he was.
But I mean, you didn't make him an actual guest, because you are the VP of Guest Relations for Trek Geeks.
And I don't want this show to suffer. So.
Wow. Wow.
Joke. Anyway.
But we do want to thank the band 5 Year Mission for 300 episodes of their amazing music. I emailed them on a wing and a prayer, and Fark replied one day and said, sure, you guys can absolutely use their music. And then it turned into outfitting our entire podcast with their music. And it was the best, thing I mistake myself into. It was pure happenstance, and it couldn't have been a more happier accident. So many, many thanks to 5 Year Mission. Please go out to 5yearmission.net. Get all their albums. Get that physical media in your hands, because, when the machines take over, now that there's all this AI, you're going to be happy you've got your CDs, because they'll keep you, happy when, the machines are taking over the world. So it's 5yearmission.net, Dan. Go get some music.
It's funny because I could not think of doing this podcast with anybody but you, and I could not think of having anyone else's music but 5 Year Mission. So thanks, gang, for being part of our family. But Bill, I got to say, with regards to what we've been talking about, there's been so much good going on that we've been talking about. The battle of good versus evil, my friend, has always been around. There's always been that constant fight of what is right and sound and true versus what is evil and manipulative and poisonous. It's like the best drummer versus the worst.
Oh my.
The most amazing Star Trek musicians versus the ones that can barely lift a drumstick. I like to think of it as, the prophets versus the Fark wraiths. And I shudder at what would happen if evil trumped good. So just keep that in mind when you're tucking yourself into bed tonight. The FARC wraiths could take over everything if not for the prophets and those wormhole aliens, my friend. So keep that in mind.
I'm shuddering right now. What I had hoped that for our 300th episode, you might, maybe class the joint up, maybe, bring your A game a little bit. But no.
I beg to differ. Please.
You don't have to beg.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll do better next time, I guess.
I highly doubt that. As Fark says, it was episode 20, and this has been 280 episodes of just pain. When does the delight happen? That's what I want to know.
Pain and delight.
I know. It's the next couple of weeks while you're in the UK.
There you go.
5yearmission.net, please go get their music. Okay? Just do it. Of course, don't forget, you too can support the podcast of Trek Geeks by subscribing to us on Patreon, where you can get all kinds of exclusive perks like the ones Dan is mailing out right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm always, I've been working hard at mailing stuff out. We had some pins not too long ago. We had some shirts not too long ago. We're going to have some more shirts pretty soon. So you know what? You're going to get some great swag just for being a member. But right now we want to take a moment and thank our associate producers for Trek Geeks. As always, we are so grateful for their continued support. And they are Vikram Bhatt, Chad Clark, Corey Clay, Brad DeMag, William Edward M. Jr., Brandon Everidge, Andy Fark, Kimberly Francis, Brian Hackworth, Jonathan Hamilton, Ryan Jeffs, John Krikorian, Rick Mason, Jamie McGregor, Ross McKinney, Aaron Mollenkoff, Helen Reed, Sarah Rutlinger, Tim Robertson, Desi Rogers, Greg Rozier, Eric Sakian, Adam Sanders, Tim Serdar, Heather Sohn, Blake Strike, Lisa Tomlinson, Jessica Dax Vincent, Ron Robel, Kaylia Zawicki,
and the gracious and wonderful Connie Hutchins.
Oh, that was very nice.
Pip, pip, old boy.
Wow. Wow. Wow, you even got a little UK stereotypical there. That's really great. You've managed to offend two countries between the great nation of Australia and Great Britain.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. Australia used to be a prison colony anyway. Nobody cares. I'm kidding. Kidding. We also want to thank our Trek Geeks producers for their support. They are Mike Bovia, Steve Bovia, Chaz Bradshaw, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Andy Davenport, Craig Ewing, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Sean Lynn, Lionel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Darren Metcalf, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Casey Pettit, Jamie Rogers, Casey Shafsky, Terry Shull, Jim Stoffel, Chris Trebuzio, and the lovely and punctual Christina Werther.
Punctual, that's funny.
Wow, Dan, it's the 300th. Let her have the punctuality. Dear me. Of course, Dan, the senior producer of Trek Geeks, is the ostentatiously audacious Jude Tatman.
I'm going to shake his hand in like 72 hours. Something like that. I don't know how many hours it is, but it's not too long.
I hope he kicks you.
Okay, well, thank you. You too can become a producer of Trek Geeks, and it's so easy to do. Head on over to patreon.com/Trek Geeks for all the details.
Dan, the next time we reconvene, whenever the hell that is, we're going to do an episode that we were going to do last year and had to put off, and it would be the episode that brought Star Trek back to television.
Huh? I didn't read the copy. I don't know what you're talking
There is no copy. I'm making an executive producer decision.
Wow. Listen to this. Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. Encounter.
So what episode's that?
The one that brought it back?
Yeah.
That's Encounter
Star Trek back to television.
Encounter at Farpoint?
No. 2017. Wow.
Discovery.
Super
there
fan.
we go. I'm like, wait a minute. What that? I'm like, TNG was in the 19th century or 19 whatever. So you completely screwed me up. Yes, we're gonna do Discovery. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait. 5 years.
That would be Star Trek Discovery Season 1, Episode 1, The Vulcan Hello.
Vulcan Hello, yes.
Because Dan doesn't remember things.
The Vulcan Hello and the Giorgio Goodbye, all in the same episode.
And the Davidson Goodbye, if you keep going like this. Yeah. So that's the Vulcan hello the next time we get to do a Trek Geeks after Dan gets back from the United Kingdom.
Hello.
Jolly good.
There you go. See, now you did it too.
Let's come tea and crumpets. G'day. That's for pleasure. Dan, for even more great Star Trek discussion, we want everyone to check out the other member podcasts of Trek Geeks. We've got so many passionate shows with passionate fans. And Dan, we are welcoming a brand new show to the network, the Big Sci-Fi Podcast.
Yeah.
Which is brand new to the Trek Geeks family, and we are so excited to have them on board.
It really is great to welcome new people to the network. We're so excited, and they're going to fit right in. I mean, they don't talk just Star Trek. They got other things that they talk about, and we're sure that you are going to just absolutely love them. Trek Geeks, Bill. I got to say, Trek Geeks. No one. I'm telling you right now. Write this down. Type it up. Email it to your friends. No one talks Trek like we do. No one.
No one. And they should just not even try.
No, don't bother.
No. And of course, for all the news on all the Star Trek show, please visit our dear friends at treknews.net. For now, this has been the 300th episode of the Trek Geeks podcast. Thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts. Live long and prosper.
And for a special 300th episode, I'm going to now say coconut 300 times without stopping. 1, 2,
Music for Trek Geeks is provided by 5 Year Mission. They're writing an original song for each episode of Star Trek. Hear more of their music at 5yearmission.net. Trek Geeks is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks podcast network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Well, I know it's been a while since we've done this, but I think the words I say now at this time are ding dong, Dan Davidson is dead.
Wow. Wow.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
Try again. Rewind that one and try it again, Mr. Man.
How
Big
about
Dong? No, that's not it. Definitely not.
Let's try to keep this PG. Because remember, this goes out in the public feed.
That's PG. Come on now. It's 2020.
How about surprise, motherfucker?
I think the mine wasn't as bad.
36 seconds.
Yeah, write that down. Let me try. Bing, Big Bang, Piggy Bank.
That's got to be it.
Big Bong. Big smoke a what? Anyway, Bing Bong.
That Sheldon laugh you do is just stupid.
I know. I'll do it forever because I just love the show so much. And I just watched it before I came upstairs. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, my God. It has been a long, long time.
It's been a long time.
Road? Oh,
no, I would never say that.
No, it has been. And it's good to be sitting here in front of this microphone again and getting ready to talk some Trek with you, my friend.
There's been a lot of news that's happened while we've been away.
So much.
Discovery being canceled. Picard finishing its third season.
Picard. Oh my God, so good.
I just all kinds of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Starfleet Academy series being greenlit.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been doing this all along and not at all. At the same
Section
time.
31 movie. Don't forget that, pal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? You're forgetting the big one.
That's
Oscar
not the big
winner,
one, though.
Michelle. No, it's not. It really isn't. But
it's still not the series they promised.
It's right, and so you're still right about that, because you're always right.
I think we've renamed that channel on our Patreon Discord server from S31 to vaporware.
That's right. We actually have. Yep, that's correct.
And that was suggested, by Patreonicals.
Yeah.
Because that show is yet to happen.
Yeah. And won't.
And won't.
Yeah. But
honestly,
that's all right.
I'm fine with it if we get Star Trek Legacy or something like it.
Which I would, how big a fan of the Mirror Universe I am and Section 31, I would throw those all out the window for a Star Trek Legacy series, baby. But run by Terry.
Well, yeah, that's it though. Run by
Yes.
Terry.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that much like the Borg, it's time to be done with the Borg, with Section 31, with the Mirror Universe, because we've just done them to death.
And I said it 1,000 times, as big a fan as I am of them, let's get some new stuff. Let's get the new stuff going.
We need new adversaries.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if we had old adversaries that we haven't talked about, what about those little critters that were like sticking out Riker, the Admiral's neck, and Riker was kicking him in the face, and conspiracy, baby? That would be a great storyline.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about that. I loved all the theories that people had for Picard season 3 and who the big bad was eventually going to be. Because some people thought it was going to be the Pa Wraiths, which never made any sense to me.
Still would have been fun.
No, it wouldn't have, because you can't do the Pa Wraiths without Cisco.
I understand that, but people would have dissected it. If it had happened, I would have been like, "Oh my god!" Because I actually said to you, I think at one time, wouldn't it be unbelievable if the face was Gul Dukat brought back in some form as a Pa Wraith? But that's just because I'm a big Gul Dukat fan. So
right,
but yeah,
it
made sense what happened. Of course, we don't want to do spoilers, but it made sense with everything that they did. And I'm eternally grateful for what happened.
Well, we've already talked about the Borg. So, I mean, Star Trek Picard is in the wild. If you haven't watched it yet,
right,
go do it already. God.
Oh, my God. There's nothing more important right now than watching Picard.
But, I mean, the Pa Wraith were all about darkness and light. For their darkness, you had to have the light of the emissary of the prophets to counterbalance it and to fight it. And so you literally cannot do the Pa Wraith without the emissary of the prophets. And there is no way that Avery Brooks is ever coming back to Star Trek.
Right. Yep.
And that's not a slight on Avery Brooks in any way.
No, we know it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So somebody pointed out on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but if you look at the theatrical poster art for Star Trek First Contact, the Borg Queen has red eyes.
Yep.
And Jack had red eyes when he was transmitting to the sleepers.
Yep.
Which is what I'll call them.
The other thing that I noticed that somebody pointed out on Twitter, in addition to that, is when he was having his episodes, there were these red vines all around him.
Yeah.
And in Star Trek First Contact, when the title card is pulling back, red vines start crawling across the letters. I never saw that ever until somebody pointed it out. I didn't
think they were red vines. I thought it was just, the logo being assimilated.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'm not sure. We'll have to, if we ever get a chance to talk to Terry, we'll have to ask him, was that what the red vines represented in Picard?
I thought they just represented the place that, was it Raritan 4?
Oh yeah. When he was talking about the flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyway,
I don't know.
We've run afield.
Gone way off track. I'm just glad to see you, man. It's been like 4 months.
Are you?
I am, actually.
So the reason we've been gone so long is that kind of like a year and a half ago or so, our professional lives have just been turmoil.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We've had to return to the office 3 days a week. And we weren't necessarily prepared to return to the office 3 days a week.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to have to go at all, and now you do.
Yeah.
And it's not been great for mental health. It's not been great for job satisfaction. It's not been great for a great many things. Yes, we're both grateful to be employed.
True.
Yes, we are. But I was even more grateful to be working remotely.
There is a difference between being employed and being proud of the place that you work for, and being employed and just working to collect a paycheck. And with all of the crap that has gone on with our work over the last year and a half, and especially the last 5 months, that's all it is for me. It is just a place where I go to earn my money because I work hard, and then I come home.
And I get it. This is a first world problem I got.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I totally admit that. I freely acknowledge it. It doesn't minimize the impact of it on my life.
Right. On top of everything else with work, I will let people know that in addition to that, I've had the added stress of having some really serious health problems with my mom, which we are dealing with and are continuing to deal with as we record this today. Things have gone really horribly. Ever since my dad died almost 2 years ago, Mom has had one health problem after another. And over the course of the last couple of months, it's really gotten bad, where she's been in the hospital now 3.5 weeks. And that's only for this round, because she had gotten home from the hospital, was home for a week, and then has now been in for 3.5 weeks. So things are not great there. So that's been taking up a lot of time, energy, and stuff like that. And it's unfortunately caused us to be on a bit of a hiatus. And I feel bad about that. But as we have always said, life always comes first. And even when it's parts of life that we don't like to deal with. So that's what's been happening.
That's 100% true. I mean, because at the end of the day, this is not our day job. You know, and things like family must come first. So it's a painful decision for you and I, because we love doing this so much, but it's a necessary decision because things got to get taken care of. I mean, your mom is important, and her health is one of the most important things, you know, that could concern you at this point. So I totally get it. Believe me.
And it's another thing, and I'm very serious when I say this, on top of the work stuff and the mom stuff, I've laid in bed at night awake saying, oh my God, we haven't put an episode out in X number of months. And that's stressful because we love doing it. We have a great group of Patreons who support us. We have a great fan base of people that like to listen to us two weirdos talk about Trek so much and love it. And it makes me feel bad that we have not been able to do it for a long time. So finally I said, dude, we gotta do it. I'm still dealing with stuff. And on top of everything else, I'm getting on a plane in 2 days. And have been wrestling with whether or not that's actually going to have to take place because of what's going on with Mom. So it's been really hectic and crazy, but I am very happy to be sitting here again after so long, to do this. And I'm looking forward to it, brother.
Well, I mean, as well you should be. I mean, it's been the last really year and a half have been probably the most challenging ones since we started doing the show. I mean, we've been around now for just over 8 years. This is our 300th episode.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing. But you know, life has thrown more at us in the last 18 months than I think you and I really anticipated.
Yeah.
So, you know, what matters most is how you rise, right? So all we can do is take care of the things that need taking care of. And then when time allows, crank out the best little Star Trek podcast in the Alpha Quadrant, and show everybody how it's done. Did I say that out loud?
I think we can do that.
Did I say that out loud?
You did, because it's not wrong.
What a jerk I am. God.
Yeah, but you're our jerk. And so it's okay.
Thank you. So this past weekend,
yes,
my wife Kelly and I were in Chicago, Illinois at the Reunion Con. It's an interactive fan convention for the television series The Office, the US version of the show. And my wife is a huge fan of The Office, as you know, Dan.
Yes, absolutely.
But Rainn Wilson from The Office, who also played Harry Mudd in season 1 of Star Trek Discovery, was also there, and he was the huge draw in addition to all of the other cast members they had. And man, what a weekend it was at Navy Pier in Chicago. We had a great time. You know, I got Rainn to sign my Discovery print, so now I can finally get that framed, which I've been saying I'm going to do for 2.5, 3 years. But then I got him. I'm like, wow, I got to add him to it. I mean, he's Harry Mudd. I met Stanley from The Office. You know, I met Badger from Breaking Bad, who was in a few episodes of The Office.
Yeah.
We talked about Tullaberry Pie.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did get to talk about that. Yep.
Toby from The Office. We got to meet him. Just a wonderfully delightful guy. And just so many great cast members. It was right up there among my convention experiences, most of which have been Star Trek, quite frankly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time. And Kelly and I we had a really, really fast weekend.
Yeah. Well, you sent me, you posted and you sent me some of the pictures of the photo op with, I can't remember her name right now, when she got hit by the car.
Okay, Flannery.
Oh my God, yeah. That was hysterical, that picture. And it sounds like that the people that put that convention on know what they're doing based on what you were telling me.
And this is only the second con.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things to improve, for sure. There's some parts of it they just haven't thought about, and I get it. Like the whole entry into the convention, minor thing. But I got to tell you, the professional photo ops are the best ones I've ever had at a convention.
That's awesome.
The company that runs them, they're called Pose. They run them like clockwork. They're very orderly. You know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be. But the most important thing, Dan, is they have 6 high-speed printers there on site. You get your photo and your digital copy, which does not cost you extra, like 10 minutes after you've taken your photo.
That's awesome.
It's like being on a Disney ride. When you get your photo at the end.
Yep.
Except you've already paid for it.
A photo pass.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's really, I wish STLV would hire these guys, because it would be a huge upgrade on the photo ops.
Yeah, I will say that when we were in Chicago last year, I was able to get my picture with the late great Annie, I should say. And they had those high-speed printers in the back. So I got my picture with her immediately, but that's not something that we have ever seen with STLV and Creation. So
no, I think it's definitely a ReedPop thing. I don't know if ReedPop uses those guys or not, or a similar company, but it was lights out. It stood head and shoulders above every experience I've ever had at Trek Vegas.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. It makes me look forward to possibly doing other non-Trek conventions at some point. I've always talked about how I would love to find a Grimm convention to take Sue to, because we both love that show. They used to do them. I haven't been able to find any since the pandemic, but I'd love to do something. And if I do find something, I hope it's by the same people that did your one for The Office.
It would be pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie.
Cool. I like it.
Well, buddy, are you ready to do this for the 300th time?
300 times. I am ready. We've been sitting on this one for a while. It's going to be fun. Let's do it. And congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations to you too, buddy. Here's to 1,000 more.
Okay. I was going to say 300, but 1,000's good. I like it.
Oh, why double it? Why not just try to, blow it out of the water?
There you go.
Kind of like our hopes and dreams.